All right, peace, everyone. Very early session, special early session, 1 hour. Um, Peace to D. Anthony. Anyone that has any specific questions, please ask them. Last week was a very specific build. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to these kind of builds this year where the builds are going to be very specific. I'm here early because I got my daughter today. So, like, we're running around the city and everything, and this is where we ended up. We ended up here early, right? So, and we figured we'd do this class early and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Get some goodies. You know what I mean? And go home. Um, so again, my brother King Kamal. Yeah, I didn't know either, guys. So I wasn't sure what time. That's why I didn't really tell anyone because I'm running around the city. So this is just when I'm here. So um, I'm doing a lot of things on the fly. So it's just adjusting to everything this particular week. You know, everybody that emailed me, I'm gonna get to you during the weekend. Um, so we'll be doing that during the weekend. Uh, gonna be recording some songs in the weekend, throwing them at King Kamal too, letting him know because he's here. You know, because King Kamal could do anything now. He's a full-fledged um, musical factory. Musical factory. I just feel like one of the guys in Motown. Just go in there and do something. But and get this working. Also working on a lot of different books that I'm editing and just writing. Writing the regular machine work. Just adjusting to the summer, working a lot of programs. I might even be in the desert during the summer teaching the kids martial arts and stuff like that. So um, we'll see what happens. But I want everybody to give me their questions over the next couple of times. I'm gonna have very specific lessons. This one I'm gonna keep it free for all because I had some ideas, and as they come to me, I hope they come to me. And I remember I didn't even have chances to write them down and stuff, but I had found a couple of plus lessons that I wrote, other ones that I'm writing. So there's going to be one that I found. There's going to be definitely by next week we'll have the writer plus lesson, and this is good for everyone because everyone should have some skill and acumen in writing. And here's the thing, right? For me, let's say somebody says, I don't need that plus lesson from Sunez. I'm not no writer. I don't want to be no writer. I don't want to be no poet, author, nothing. These are all essential skills. That's why when I made this P.E.A.C.E course, Political Education and Civilization Enrichment, one of the main things for civilization enrichment was the necessity to engage in these skills that I came in to teach with. So I got knowledge of stuff, and I got taught to teach here, and I got groomed to teach here. But when I made the curriculum, inspired by Day Sun, because Day Sun made that name, Political Education and Civilization Enrichment. The whole idea was, how can I make a curriculum that was useful for everybody? And I think this is what I'm going to say is useful for anyone that is beginning to instruct others and wants to make a more formal, more structured environment. You don't have to be in a classroom to give a structured environment. What people don't understand is that Supreme Mathematics, the alphabet, 120 lessons, the lifestyle with them, the reality with them, gave and gives the youth on the street, in the corners, a structure. So every single teacher is always giving some type of structure to a student. You're dealing with the children, you give them structure. You tell them, listen, you can do whatever you want, but within these parameters, right? When King Kamal taught me how to MC, he told me this time block, this topic, these ideas, these formats. He gave me structure, and within the structure is the freedom to really delve in and develop. So this is the marks of a good teacher, and all teachers do this. So with the curriculums, they're going to be doing that. Now I write a writer plus lesson, and people's like, oh, I don't care about writing and things. the thing is, you could always share it to someone that is very interested about writing. The second thing is that you should keep it yourself as well, because all of these things are things to use. They are, what I am teaching is necessary things. Necessary things. We need to know how to write. Okay, we cannot be relying on just chat GPT and stuff. The major way to combat, one of the major ways to combat this AI taking over everything is to really have a command and abilities without the crutches of AI. You know, that's very important. Our creativity must be something that we cannot, get rid of. You know. All right. So I'm seeing Nikhil Gola. I don't know whatever language you writing in. I cannot understand that language. So, so if you could get that translated, that would be awesome. I'll definitely answer anything. Um, you know, I don't know what language that is. you know, um, but the writer plus lesson will be for someone that wants to just write better, someone that really wants to write projects. I have little things about people that want to write a book, want to write poetry, want to, whatever it is, just as a beginner idea. I always say this stuff about beginner, but like, there's very little difference from a beginner to an expert. The difference is just the time. You know what I mean? Some people can infinite mind. My brother Infinite Mind is here. I'm gonna be here for exactly 1 hour. So the time that, let's say, someone does Wing Chun and only knows the Slim Tao form, you do that form for 10 years though, and you are proficient and skilled at it. And you can really delve into things with it. You understand things just working on that one form for a certain amount of years. So I think with this, if you start to do the thing I'm going to outline in the plus lesson, they can really get you going. And again, the plus lessons of writing, they grow and they develop and stuff. So if one of you reads it and feels like there's portions missing and have questions for something else in it, so you have to do is just email me back, and I'll see, like, yo, maybe that would add on. Okay, and we grow from there. Some of the plus lessons I've written have been because people ask for them, and then they also comment on what they would also like in them, and I just keep building. I'm also working on a new health protocol one, because I want that thing to be bigger, better, stronger. I think I'm going to expand things like, for example, the antioxidants, so people can have a bigger list of antioxidants to use, what they're for. The beginner book list, I'm going to make it so that way all the books that are on that list, that Power Cipher beginner book list, all the 50 out of the 50 that are unavailable, out of print, I'm not going to delete them, because, like, for example, The Mayor's Man by Barry Gothard that's an essential book for us 5%ers, but it is unavailable. So if you ever find it, you know to look for it, and it's a real crate that you found. But I'm going to put that as a bonus, so that way the 50 that are there are ones that not just that you could find out there in print, but ones that I could provide via email. So there won't be any excuse that, oh, this is the one that I needed and I don't have it, because that'll be the only thing, yeah, and I'll get you that. I've been looking at the calendars and stuff, because I have a Word is Bond plus lesson that I found in my collection here. I wrote in 2020. So I think that's why I lost it. I forgot about it, because I wrote it during the pandemic, and I may have taught it when it was just online. We weren't in the school, and I kind of just forgot about it, So being obsessive with it, I'm probably waiting for the 11th day, maybe July 10th, a Thursday. Let's see. It's like all the 11ths are not coming up. So if I did it like that, I mean, damn, I would have to teach it. When would I have to teach it? I would have to teach it. Yeah, I would have to teach it September, But if you guys really want to read it see it before, I get it to you before. But so I'm trying to update some of the other ones. It's all on the fray because there's so much that I'm doing and stuff. You know what I mean? Um, but I get to it all. I've already have it in my thing. Like for the next couple of weeks, at least one plus lesson that is new for the next, updated or new for the next couple of weeks. So the summer is brand new stuff. You know. Um, and again, for everybody, I didn't know I was going to go live early. I knew I was going to go live early, but I wasn't sure what time. And every time I was thinking, let me make a post, I was always on the move. And so this is what it is. King, you said you have a question before being on today's math. Is it always necessary to explain what each number degree means, or can you go into it, like today being wisdom equality? Yeah, you could always, but it's, to me, it's always been depending on who you're dealing with. Like for me, you could just you got your flag from me. I know how sharp you are, so we're on another level. So like if you just want to build, yo, God, this is how I see today's degree in the 1 to 40, or today this degree in the 1 to 14. I mean, you could just dive right in. You know what I'm saying? If you have a build on the day's math that you feel is unique to what you shared before, then that's probably when I would want to hear it. It wouldn't be necessary for you, let's say, to just always build with me and just repeat the build on the day's math when it would be the same thing that you already had told me and was right and exact. You know, it's good that you memorize it. That to me necessary, but you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, definitely not necessary. And yeah, God, I'm going to be sending you stuff as soon as I get things, completed and recorded. I got this one of them. I just have it's not finished yet. It's got a couple of lines in there. So much good music I hear. It doesn't stop me from making music, but it really makes me want to make what I'm sharing special, where it's not like the same old. I don't even like. That's why I like when I rhyme. I almost never use similes. I don't. I feel like other people have such better similes and. All right, I think we got back on thanks to the God Shabi. We got back online. Um, all right, Malik. I hope everyone is still here. Less than a handful because it definitely froze. But we are unfrozen though. We have some difficulties with the internet. You know, but I want to go since I'm in this plus lesson mode. Um, what I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through some. I'm thinking about concerned students. I'm also sending them plus lessons that are classical ones. I've been going through my box of plus lessons, not from me, but from elders that I collected, big box of plus lessons, and I'm sending. And I just been scanning some of them to send out to certain people, though, So, um, so people here like Infinite Mind and King and stuff. I get you. There's some of the stuff. If you don't have them, I could send them. Since we're on a plus lesson, couple of plus lessons, new ones that I'll be sharing. I want to share really what I think is the most for me, for the way I teach, the most foundational one that I have um, is what I call the power bat, the build awareness square, right? Build awareness square, and I just wanted it to symbolize some way of remembering things, you know. Um, to get us back in the mindset of doing these things. Okay, I'm gonna put my email in here just in case anyone that's in here doesn't know. Okay, um, and then we could go from there, right? Yeah, well, like we never left, you know. Yeah, the gods looked out. I was able to get back online. Piece of the God Shabi immediately um, gave me his hotspot. So, we're back building in here. You know what I mean? This is why I love when all of us, we um, we add on with each other and help and everything, and we get the thing going. But continuing onward, the build awareness square was something I was writing because I think that we're not always aware when we talk about knowledge of self that it's really about a knowledge of us, a mastery of you, a mastery of your reality, mentality, perspectives, and as they develop and they grow, right? Okay. Um, so okay, there it is. I was looking for it. I just lost it. Right. So the core to a knowledge of self is that there really is only creator and creation in the universe. Once this is realized, then what is only sharing the giving and receiving of the fruits of creation. Even a teacher, naturally poor and righteous, is engaged in an overt, outright sharing of forms for the student to draw up their understanding, talents, and nature. As creators, then we must become aware of all we do is vital to the development of self. One squares the surrounding reality of one's awareness of truth that protects one and is used to build and destroy. To develop this powerfully and stand on one square, one must build awareness of one's personal status at all times. With this, one may progress powerfully in their endeavors. It's a list of five that I gave, five things to be aware of with these brief ideas. And it's simple and yet very difficult for people to latch onto when you really think about it. It's really the execution that is the difficulty. The first is eat. The diet proposes of the highest refinement and thus able to allow us to project the most power in all our undertakings. Yet, while a vegan living foods diet is ideal, as I see it and show and prove as I go along um, in the weeks, because we're going to have that ideal living foods protocol, right? And by the way, even if you don't agree with the vegan diet and living foods protocol way, manner, and lifestyle, it's going to be one that's going to be essential to know, even certainly to know about and heal yourself. Okay. All right. There is nothing that we deliberately take with us and have the most power in deciding how than with the food we place in our bodies. We may love our family and even cherish our possessions, but none of that is directly inserted into our body as much as the food we eat. To begin, we learn to note the foods we eat, the conditions we dine in, the reasoning behind our eating, and how each and every food feels within us. In doing so, we may better decide how to use our food as a deliberate energy source and solve countless problems, often not attributed to diet, yet truly are, as in the difficulty reading, lethargy, lack of, which is laziness, tiredness, weakness, lack of emotional control, lack of desire. All right, most of this is due to that. You know, um, you know, it just changes you. You know what I mean? Like certain things, you can have an allergy to something and just be totally weakened by the food that you eat, and then now not doing much, right? So as we go along, there's going to be the plus lesson for the living foods protocol is going to be updated, and I'll share that. It'll have nutrients, it'll have manners, because remember the way that you eat is also very important, you know, um, and it's probably especially with this next one, maybe it goes in there too. This probably goes in the next one, but we're gonna have things to link up with that, um, and how to get these foods and how to get these nutrients at their best. All right. The second thing in this build awareness square, this bat, what I just call bat, is train. How you train the physical body, really, right? I said the peace course may reach a point where you may reach a point where you decide to train martially, the art of Shaolin Kung Fu. This is what I'm teaching. This is what I end up showing people, right? However, athletic achievement, notoriety, and making punks jump up to get beat down is to the heart of the awareness here. It is that our bodies are the outward expression of our thoughts and will only be equipped to do what we train it to do. Just as the mind drives the body well trained inspires the mind. Thus, the interplay of creation in mind and body of Biangxing Sanbao, metamorphosis of three treasures, Kung Fu. Right? That's what I learned. That's what me and Infinite Mind learned. Right? That's what we studied under. The root of training is to track your exercise. Study the many outlets of interest, as in sports, martial arts, etc., and work on scheduling a personal protocol for consistent training. Right? All right. So, guys, especially my brothers out there, learn that they're the true and living God. Be in it. Training is not an option, you know. And to me, others may disagree. Training in some type of martial art, fighting art. I don't care really what it is. I think it's essential for us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Guys, any questions about this? Let me know. Any questions as I go along? Let me know. Okay. All right. King Me, you said absolutely. I see playing out every day. That's right. If you see it playing out, then you know how to use it. The third is read. Read. All right. Doing the knowledge, really. What are we reading? What are we watching? What do we see more often than not because we are drawn to it? What are we absorbing? Okay. Um, let me take a pause here. It's a good question. I'm assuming, King Me, that you talk about martial training. Why is it essential? Um, is that right? Why do I think some type of martial training? I don't care if it's boxing or fighting. I think every original man should know how to fight, should know how to defend themselves. We are not making family. Our goal in this nation has always been to make families, though, specifically lead the children, create children, and lead them. If you cannot defend them in every single which way, I find it very glaring. A lot of us are really led to believe that we can only that the major way to defend our children is to have this knowledge, have an understanding, all supreme, using our supreme mind, and then having some type of gun or something. I think that's very paltry. I think that doesn't give you the eyes. It doesn't give you the awareness of situations. You know what I mean? It's just not practical. Also, too, when man is training his body to fight, he's also training it though to be aware of all situations. He's teaching it to be ready for anything. You know what I mean? And so I think that's important. The martial arts doesn't just come with fighting, punching, kicking. It also comes with the ability to gauge situations, see what's what, find your enemies. All of these are part of martial training, and I think it's essential. Um, it's a fact that I wouldn't be alive if I didn't have this martial training. Absolutely, you know, it has saved my life. It has prevented a bevy of other massive situations that would have turned out really much more horrible. You know, so I think it's necessary. I think all of us should learn some type of fighting art, and it's really not difficult. You know what I mean? It's really not difficult. Okay. And again, if you're in the New York City area, I'll train everybody for a very minimal, very nominal fee. You know, and I've done it before many times. And this summer, we started this summer, so I'm doing it. You know what I mean? If anybody contacts me, right, and you're gonna get a lot. You're gonna get a lot with me, right? So that's why I don't know if that answers the whole question. I just think that martial arts skills also come with martial arts eyesight and wherewithal and insight, you know, and that's important. Okay, all right. Piece of self elevation, right? So now we're talking about the third one, reading. Um, and Kingly, I'll go back to it if that doesn't answer the whole question too. But we're talking about reading, and I said, what are we reading? what are we watching? What do we see more often than not because we are drawn to it? What are we absorbing? The concrete reality of the knowledge means that we are in a society adverse to our growth and development. There can be no such thing as a non-reader for those that understand the nature of war our lives are bred in. And again, something that is my understanding. You know what I mean? I think that everyone should be a reader. I don't think that that's optional. I think that people think they absorb more or get more information by watching videos that are well chosen. That's completely incorrect. More books contain more information. They contain concentrated information. They contain an author, a writer, a thinker's most significant information and relayed there and for posterity. So it's its most potent. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You know what I mean? So you got to. We must begin by learning to choose what we read and make real goals to complete the reading of books, articles, and writings. We must then extend this to all that we knowledge. Okay, so the read is like the beginning, the essential part, but this third one is really about knowledge and being aware of what you knowledge. Okay, all right. Do I recommend audiobooks over old school? No. I never do. I think if you don't read books and you go with audio, then do it. Get the information. Okay, but as a writer, there's a beauty in seeing the word. That's one thing. And it also, you can't be a writer if you don't see the word. You don't see the word. You got to see the word on the page. You know what I mean? When I write, everything works out like puzzles. You know what I mean? Certainly when it's a rhyme, like a verse, but in all things I've written, essays, poetry, everything, it always works. It's literally a puzzle that I'm looking at. You know, so it's essential to see things. You know, also too the mind, the eyes and the mind, they get very sharp when you read. You know what I mean? And again, reading is a skill. So you'll read shitty if you don't read and you start. But it builds up. So try to gauge how much you read in an hour. See what this, like I think right now, like this week, it's been a hectic week. I've had my daughter. We've been playing, having fun. So I've only read my goal is always 300 a week. I've only read 225, I think. So obviously, there's no way I don't make a goal again. But I haven't had that much time to read. But when I look in the apps and I see how much I read, the time it took, I've been averaging 37 pages an hour. So the speed increases as you go along. You know what I mean? So the fourth one links up with the reading is the writing, right? What do you write? What do we write? What are we saying? We're always writing something. You're on the social media there. You'll read emails, messages. What are our ideas? Who and what do we write for? Writing is a form of sharing understanding for those who will not always be around or who are not around at the moment. Writings are your sharings absorbed by others distant from you, created in the cipher for another cipher. How developed is our projection of ideas? It must be oft repeated that the idea is the foundation of the great writer. In other words, the creative idea, the understanding, the idea. That's the foundation. You don't have that, you have nothing to say. We must begin to write our own personal journals, catalog our understanding, increase the amounts we write, so that just as we speak and share writings to the world, they are the most sincere, willingly useful, and best understanding we have at every moment. Okay, so get yourself a journal. Get yourself a journal and start writing. Understand that your life is important. You know, if the God's life is not important, then whose life is? You know what I mean? Whose life is? You know, right? And the last thing is a very difficult one because we're not supposed to be gauging it with ego. We're supposed to be doing this and just letting it go and not really counting. Oh, I did this, but we also have to be aware of how we do it and how well we do it because we always want to gauge, and that's sharing. You know, and I said here the genre of self-help literature is vast, designed to accept life as a rat race and then lace the right shoes for the finish. While the sincerity of the student can never be given by one's teacher or mere teaching, the development of virtue can be engaged into by developing an awareness of one's sincerity. Truthfully, no one in this society will judge us wrong for transmuting our greatest energies. That means bringing our greatest energies to think and grow rich, and let all those around us sink, and we switch. However, when one asks oneself, once I have found my talent and it is able to survive me, then what is the nature of truly thriving? We must then take note of simple sharing. Are we sharing disingenuously for profit and fame? Are we sharing truth out of anger or resentment, which is where a lot of, you know, teachings come from. People's anger at being poor makes them think and grow rich, right? Are we sharing with a hidden agenda to receive something in return? Right? It is difficult to gauge what must become natural. Try to log what one shares is not a technical activity but a personal retrospection. That in this we may actually judge our talents and the worth of how they can one day aid others. This is why the best part is the best part. Okay, so sharing is very important. Are you sharing? You know, are we noticing that nobody's getting the knowledge when I teach them? They don't. So are we? Are we just quitting? This is something to ponder, right? To ponder on. Yeah, that Rakim book was a good book. Rakim, it's conversational, definitely. So that works as an audio book, like you know. But King, you said what helps me is often writing the same things over. Yeah, that's how. That's one way. That's definitely. That's what I do with my journal. I end up writing about the books that I read. You know what I mean? So I'm often repeating things that I just read. I'm getting a little cold here, but 793rd piece to 793rd. Um, so guys, this is the plus lesson. Um, you know, um, okay. So guys, I will be here for another 10 minutes, right? 5:30. Let me know if there's anything that you need. That's the first plus lesson. Again, I'm going through. There's other plus lessons here. The 1 to 36 plus lesson I have. Um, Interactive planning. I have a plus lesson on that. You know what? I'm going to open up. I have to open up this one called Our Works because I don't really know what it's about. I have the Justice Curriculum, the Justice Build plus lesson, the Justice Curriculum plus lesson. It's a lot of plus lessons I wrote. Yeah, so I'm gonna be going through them. We'll have some new ones, but we'll go through the old ones, and it's time. It's time I expand these things here. Um, all right, guys. Nobody cares. Just remind you because I'm on social media a lot and everything. No, you got to do outreach. You got to be out there with the people. A good build on Facebook is really it's just really art stuff. It's just really art projects. You know, you throw a build on Facebook, it's really good. It's just an art project. There's no children that heard that. There's nobody that really, really needed that, got that. If you do Facebook post, it should be personal. It's better to just be personal with the friends you know. But I always think if you're building on Facebook with other gods, it should be an exchange of pedagogy, styles of teaching. How do we teach? You know what I mean? What obstacles? Asking questions about other people's ways of teaching, how they teach. This is what we should be doing on the social media. But people often arguing about their side of the story, how they see certain degrees and things like that. That's what it does for me. Bores me. because a lot of what I read, is really just regurgitations from some other elder that already said that. So I'm like, I'm not really impressed. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make I'm gonna make study sheets on every set in 120. So there's gonna be I have a plus lessons on Supreme Math, Supreme Alphabet, and the 1 to 36. But I'm working on one with the 1 to 10 now. I'm gonna do one for the 1 to 14, 1 to 40. 1 to 40 would probably be a two-part. For maybe like first 20, and then the next 20. You know what I mean? Just so that the thing is not like a big book, right? So that's important. You know what I mean? All right. King, you said you stopped doing videos on builds a couple of years ago because some guys were too judgmental, throwing shots at me. Yeah, I see people throw shots and darts and subliminals, and I'm like, you could just answer the build. That's what the cipher's for. You know what I mean? And it's not really necessary. And I think this, like, I don't know. A lot of us use the social media to practice. I don't know where we got this idea that practice is done in the outside world like that. You know what I mean? Um, you don't practice how to teach this on social media. You know what I mean? You spend time with your teachers and you learn how not to make a damn mistake when you go out there. You know what I mean? So the next one will be the 1 to 10, okay? So right now I'm working on two of them. The writer one, the writer plus lesson, writer / author, and the 1 to 10. Those are the new ones I'm working on. The old ones that I'm working on immediately is the Power Cipher beginner book list and the Living Foods protocol. And I'm doing the Living Foods protocol, prioritizing that over the beginner book list because I have so many books I can give you. If you individually email me, I get you books. So I prioritize the protocol because I want people to have the health protocol. You know, I think over the last couple of years, especially seeing how people eat past all this COVID, people are eating worse, and that carries into our nation. And I see people eating just garbage. You know, theoretically, not just theoretically, but ideally, there shouldn't we shouldn't just be having obese people in this nation, but we have to make it where we don't have people that are unathletic. Everyone should be ready for combat. This is me. This is what I teach here. You're in the peace course. Everybody should be getting ready for combat to defend themselves, to defend their children, to defend our elders, and to also give ourselves a quality of longevity. What's the point in living to the 90s, 100, if we're completely useless for the last 30, 40 years of our life? This is unacceptable. Some people can. I'm gonna Some people ask me for distinct protocols and stuff, and I'll get them. And certain people in this chat, I'm gonna send you things specifically made for you. You know, but the protocol is good. Right? How are you? Say peace to everybody.
Peace, everyone.
Right.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And hit the bell button. Or else a spider will be in your bed tonight.
Spider.
But if you do subscribe, then you'll meet Maya the cow. Hey,
I'll hold it for a while.
Bobby, the Wi-Fi works.
Yes, God, Lord Takim. Yeah, that's a good point. You know what I mean? About Asiatic, the word Asiatic, Asia Minor, yeah, all those things. Yeah, because they're see, you could look up things, but then you got to know also what the elders said about it, you know, or what they thought about it, you know. And also these plus lessons are going to build up because I'm starting to reacquaint myself with all of my old plus lessons that I have a huge box of them, you know. So we'll be reading you know, I'm going to be talking about the great understanding and everything, you know. And I'm gonna look, they get some God said, Raz King said peace princess, and King said peace Amma, and the God King Kamal said peace Amma. Shout out to Maya the cow. But that's what it is, guys. So I want to give you guys a lot of work, a lot of stuff. The more stuff I give out, the more stuff I hope will be used, you know, and a lot of information and stuff. You put in the work, though. You know what I mean? We see people fall off though, and they're not doing anything though. So they have to go back to the white man and be on the white man's back to the white man's show. You know what I'm saying? We know what we're talking about, but they wanted to open their mouth about exile, and you know, people exile themselves. They're not building. They're not teaching. You know what I mean? They want to go out there and they want to say I'm the God, but then they say, look, well, we can kick out all these Latinos because they're not legal and things like that. So now we have hypocrisy of application, right? Now all of a sudden the law of America is is set. It has always had. Now all of a sudden it has a precedent of being right and exact and morally correct. There is no further research, you know. So these are the things that I want us to be able. The more that we could look at ourselves through this build awareness square plus lesson and other things, the more we could look at ourselves, the more we could write and look at what our thoughts are and retrospect and go into introspection with our own thoughts, start to create things, songs, poems, things. We can start to see like, look, the way I'm thinking of things is completely hypocritical. You know what I mean? Because we're supposed to have a more universal look at things and see how people go. See, if God runs the entire universe, those people, if we rule as we should, and we have the destiny of all humanity in our hands to guide them, then that means people that are doing good and bad, right and wrong, are under the purview. And it is not just a simple purge of wrong. It is not just a simple assumption of right. It is an analysis of what is most well-meaning for each person, even as they continue to do wrong, stay 85, even as they continue to do greater. You know what I mean? So these are, you know, interesting things. You know what I mean? All right. True Self said, "Peace to the babies are the greatest. Peace to the young moon. You got a piece of the young moon, Alma, right? Right. Peace to the God.
Peace.
Alma, say peace to day son.
Peace. How you doing? That's good.
So, guys, that's it for today. Right? We got that. You know, the 1 hour. Yeah, look at like Steven Django. Yo, for real. You know what I mean? You know, guys, if you want to go back, I think the last week's class was a real important one to check. The Juneteenth class, Juneteenth build. If any of you trolls, go watch that one. Leave me alone. But you know, we're taking forward here because again, people don't people don't always see me at every nation function. But I'm not here. My work isn't just to have fun with my family in this nation. My real work is to go out there and add and build. You know what I mean? And that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? And while we on this side, Lorenzo and Punilli. That's right. Peace to God, Day Son, the God that brought me. Day Son is the one. He's the one that brought me to this nation. You know what I mean? He's the one that named this course. That's my brother forever. You know what I mean? All right. So I'm gonna let everybody go. You know what I'm saying? Concentrated. These classes are. I'm giving everybody an hour. Concentrated supremacy. You know, nothing long-winded unless we can go into deeper stuff. But everything concentrated supremacy. real builds, real useful. We could go back and really get something worthwhile. And if not, email me and we will, and I'm thankful, for that, King. So until next week, you know what I mean? Peace. All right.